That's why I rock with him.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
That's why I rock with JV, man.
JV.
All right, Thursday night football just wrapped up. Packers dominate 27-18 over the Commanders, and I need to apologize. I'm sorry. I was wrong about the Packers. I make so many takes during the offseason, and I was bound to have a few that just didn't go my way. This one's really bad. I'm going to wear it on my chest. I'm going to be honest with you. I should have believed in the Packers. These first 2 weeks have been unreal, and I'm looking at them as a serious threat in the NFC, contending with some of the top dog teams in the NFL. You know what it is. You're back on the JV show, and this is JV giving you a Thursday night football recap with a few other topics we're going to sprinkle in there tonight. If you like the content you've been seeing, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, do your thing as you always do. Let me know what you want to see. Hopefully you've been enjoying these prime time breakdowns. And without further ado, let's get into tonight's game between the Packers and the Commanders, starting us off with the Green Bay Packers, who have looked just so well put together, so electric. They look incredible, man. You know, again, wasn't my best take on this team. I did have a few legitimate reasons to be concerned, but so far they've just gone right down the drain. This team looks buttoned up, put together, prepared. They look amazing. Jordan Love is slinging that rock. His arm looks like it's top 8 in the NFL right now. And if he keeps this up, oh yeah, they're a threat. Micah Parsons looks like one of the best defensive players in the league. Every pass rush is intentful with pace, and he's on the quarterback every single snap. He's absolutely everywhere. It's really crazy to see a guy leave his drafted franchise, leave the Cowboys, a Cowboy at heart, go to a rival team and produce like this. There were Packer fans chanting, "Thank you, Jerry," at the end of the game. That's got to sting. I feel bad for Cowboys fans. They might be obnoxious. They might get loud when they're winning. They might be annoying. But at the end of the day, they don't deserve this much pain. It sucks. It's been decade after decade of pain and suffering with no conference championship appearance, and they just continue to get pummeled. Jerry Jones just continues to screw them over, and honestly, I feel bad. I'm sure once they start winning, I'll have a different opinion, but right now, thank you, Jerry chants, man, that has to sting. Like, that's really brutal. That is really brutal. But hey, when you get a star like Micah Parsons, who slots in and it is immediately helping your defense win games like that, how can you not be pumped up? If the Packers continue this, if they keep this rolling, man, we got a serious team on our hands. And like I said, my biggest concern, I think, with this team going into the season was Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I've always agreed that he should have been paid $55 million, 1,000,000%. When you get a potential franchise quarterback like that evidently has the talent, you got to pay him. Especially in this day and age when quarterbacks, franchise quarterbacks, they're tough to come by and they're getting overpaid. You got Trevor Lawrence, you got a Tua, you got a Dak. You got to lock your guy up if you believe in him. And Jordan Love is a guy that has all the talent in the world. His biggest knock has been the turnovers, and the turnovers at the poor spots during the game, during the big games. More importantly, he hasn't had any of those so far this season. Now, of course, there have been some turnover-worthy plays. I hope he eliminates that going down the stretch, because if he does, yes, this team is serious. If the Packers get this version of Jordan Love all year long, they're dangerous. They can cause problems for probably any team in the NFL. Plus, they opened the season with 2 above-average teams, and they dominated both of them. Detroit Lions Week 1 and Washington Commanders Week 2. You got guys like Tucker Kraft balling out with 120 yards. Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, who's probably out 6 to 8 weeks with that collarbone now. But you got so much talent. Josh Jacobs looks great. Receivers look great. Tucker Kraft looked incredible tonight. But most important, Jordan Love looked precise, looked comfortable. His talent was on full display tonight, and that defense, top 5 in the league right now. I'm so sorry. It's bad. It was really bad on my part. I apologize. I can say there were a few things during the offseason I was advocating for. In week 1, I was pumped up. J.J. McCarthy, my guy. I was rooting for him. So happy to see him succeed week 1. I'll take that. I'll take that as a win in my category. But as far as losses go, right now, yeah. Packers, that take doesn't look too good. But we move on. I digress. I apologize. All aboard the Packers train now. They look really, really good. Just as long as Jordan Love keeps doing his thing and doesn't turn over the ball in crucial moments, they will be completely fine. As for the Commanders, here's my thing about teams that just break out, right? A few years ago, we had the Texans with C.J. Stroud. They went bottom of the barrel to divisional round game. Last year, we had the Commanders. Oftentimes, you see it. Once a year, honestly. Once every few years, you see a team that just skyrockets out of nowhere. Commanders wore that last year, but I do think the Commanders were lucky last year. They had a lucky season. They had a lot of things go their direction, and they caught fans off guard, which brought them that underdog mentality and gave them momentum going into the playoffs. Don't forget, momentum is a real thing in the NFL. Being in the right place at the right time, that is a real thing when it comes to the NFL. But my question is, what happens when that dies off? What happens when you don't have the momentum? When you don't have the underdog mentality? And you're expected to show up consistently and be a contender? And I think the Commanders are in that weird place right now. Last year, they had so much going for them. Jaden Daniels, balling out. Offense was moving at an accelerated pace. Terry McLaurin had 13 touchdowns, second most receiving in the league. Defense was not doing too bad. And they caught some decent matchups in the playoffs. You played a hard team in the Bucs in the wild card, won a big game there. Then you caught a really banged up, injured Lions team where both coordinators were headed off to other jobs afterwards. They looked a little bit disinterested in the game, and you just kind of squeaked past the Detroit Lions, made the conference championship, and get slapped up by a much better Eagles team. That's where the Commanders were last year. But now the light was on them. Now it's like, hey, you got to show up and perform. Hey, you got to be a consistent team. We expect you to be a contender this year. Maybe they're not all that. Maybe they're not. I'm a heavy believer in Jaden Daniels. I'm a heavy believer in what they've done, bringing back Terry McLaurin, helping him up, supplying him with a few weapons in the offense. But I don't think the Commanders are on par with the beasts in the NFC. Obviously, the Packers, the Eagles, the Rams, they're floating in that 49ers range. I just don't think that they're up there with the upper echelon teams in the NFC or the NFL. Now, a positive going their direction, Jaden Daniels is elite. You can fall back on the fact that you have a franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels. But the roster itself, it just doesn't stack up against the best teams in the NFL. The team is old. They're the oldest team in the NFL. And I don't think that provides sustainability for a team to contend year after year after year. The defense got walked over. Packers put up over 400 yards of offense and 6.4 yards per play. And they missed a few big-time shots down the field. O-line looks horrendous. Defense, below average. You got a franchise quarterback. You got a receiver that's aging as well. Debo looks great. I'll give him that, but I just don't think they have it. This is screaming wild card knockout to me. Maybe it's a week 2 overreaction. Maybe it's a short week and I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but I've seen it as a real thing in the NFL. Look at the Lions. their first year of success, I think 2023, right? They're riding this huge, happy wave. They're the underdogs. The league is cheering for them. Yes, sir. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Lose in the playoffs. They come back the next year. All right, this is our year. We got a consistency. They add some weapons. They're moving. Yes, sir. We're building. Lose a really bad game to the Commanders when we're banged up. Now the wave is gone. Now the Lions are expected to be consistent. And so far, I know it's been 1 week, but the loss of their coordinators, the loss of that offensive line, it looks like it's hurt them. And you're wondering, was it the momentum of the moment? Think about the Bengals with Joe Burrow, right? The year that they went to the Super Bowl, they were riding some crazy momentum. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati, Houday. It was their year, right? And then you meet a really good Rams team that is set up. You got the Triple Crown with Cooper Kupp. You got Matthew Stafford Ball and Aaron Donald. You lose in the Super Bowl. Probably not going to get back with this team. So again, my whole point, and I've kind of ran in a circle just now, but momentum is serious in the NFL. Momentum at the right spots going into the playoffs can mean a lot more than people give it credit for. It can mean even more than talent, than X's and O's. If you've got that underdog killer mentality behind you, where fans of other teams are hopping on the hype train and cheering for your players and for your team, that can mean a lot and lead you a lot longer of a way than if you didn't have it. And I'm just a little bit concerned about the Commanders. Just a little bit. But I wouldn't be worried about Jaden Daniels because he played a really good Packers offense. Packers team, Packers defense. He's fine. He's a franchise quarterback. Wasn't his best day, but by no means did he look completely terrible. So I think they're fine. He showed me enough. He's poised, calm, collected. I made a video earlier last week after his game against the Giants. He's a franchise guy, a generational talent. Wouldn't worry about him, but as a team, your average age is above 28 years old. I'm concerned. But again, another great game. Primetime, Packers, Commanders. We got week 2 heading right in front of us. I'm so excited. Got a great Sunday slate of games. We're going to get to all that. A few more topics for this evening before we wrap up. We had some breaking news earlier on this week with Brock Purdy. All right. Brock Purdy, injured, going to miss around 2 to 5 weeks. Honestly, I have no clue what's going on in San Francisco. They are consistently, and I mean consistently, injured. I just don't get it. Why are the 49ers always battling so many injuries every year? This should not be a consistent thing a team has to deal with. What am I missing here? Am I the only one that is seeing this? They are consistently injured. And you can point your finger at a few different things. But the one thing that screams and jumps out to me, it's CMC is fragile as glass. He's questionable going into week 1, right? He's a fragile guy. CMC has a long history of injuries. He's questionable week 1, and Shanahan gives him 31 touches in his first game back. That has nothing to do with being a great football mind. This has nothing to do with anything but just pure logic. Just being a reasonable person. You're coming off an injury. You have a long track record of serious injuries. We're going to scale back your workload week 1 and ease you into the season and not demolish you week 1 because we need you if we're going to make a playoff run. It doesn't make sense to me. George Kittle now injured. Brandon Ayuk starting the season on IR. Juwan Jennings has injury problems. I mean, it's becoming so consistent you could bet on it. If I was a betting man, I would put all my money on the Niners to be the most injured team in the NFL at the beginning of the season. And the crazy thing is, when this team is healthy, they shake things up. They could be a dark horse team that beats a contender in the wild card, upsets a contender at home in the wild card, goes to the divisional, makes noise. Their Super Bowl runs, they've been healthy. When they're a healthy team, the Niners are dangerous. They're good. They got a lot of talent. But that is a big if, one of the biggest ifs in the NFL. And I have no clue why. The only logical thing that comes to mind is like, what are your strength and conditioning coaches doing? Right? I mean, I don't know what other way to justify it. Are you working them too hard? Are your stars getting too many reps? I mean, that's a legit argument. You saw CMC like I described this past week. Is it Shanahan? But it's got to be something wrong in San Francisco. I understand injuries are a part of the sport. Don't get me wrong. Injuries happen. Oftentimes unavoidable. You're playing a contact sport. But why so consistently for the Niners? Why are the Niners consistently the most injured team in the NFL? I just don't get it. Does not add up to me. Never will. And it's the main reason why they are being held back as a team from being something special. They got a super easy schedule this week. Super easy schedule this year. Mac Jones is going to come in, probably win a few games. People are going to get all riled up. Oh, is Purdy really a franchise quarterback? Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. Somebody answer as to why the Niners are always this injured. Please. Their stars, always on IR. Hufanga, Greenlaw when they were there. Trent Williams, George Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. Like, all of these guys have missed a significant time period with the Niners on IR. Make it make sense. Last topic of the evening, and I've talked about it on a few shows previously this week, but I thought I'd give it some attention here because I rarely talk New York Jets football, and I feel like they haven't gotten a ton of attention since Aaron left, but they deserve it. They surprised me a lot week one with Justin Fields. Now, do I think it'll last all year? I have no clue. Don't know if it's sustainable. But what I do know is Aaron Glenn really impressed me. Aaron Glenn didn't get enough respect in Detroit for the job that he did. His absence is missed big time. And he's fit to be a great head coach in the NFL. I truly believe so. Because coaching isn't just about the X's and the O's. Aaron Glenn is really good at that, but it's relationships, it's belief, it's trust, it's respect. And watching the New York Jets on Sunday, you could tell that all 53 players on that roster respected Aaron Glenn. They were fighting for him and with him. When he came into office in New York for the Jets, he immediately dealt with the Rodgers situation, cleaned it up, and moved on like a professional. There was no drama. There was no podcasts. Whether or not it was the right move to move away from Rodgers, we can both agree Aaron Glenn handled it like a man. Went in there, made a decisive decision, moved on. That's life. There are some coaches in the league that I just look at and their mannerisms, the way that they talk, the way that they carry themselves, you can just tell that they're a good head coach. The way players talk about them, you can tell that they're well respected. And Aaron Glenn, for me, is one of those guys. He had the Jets buttoned up against the Steelers. Again, I don't know how good the Steelers are going to be this week or this year with Aaron Rodgers, with Tomlin. But all I know is that the Jets were prepared to go to battle. And that, for me, falls on Aaron Glenn and the job that he's done. I think watching that game, you could feel the energy in New York. And there was this aura that Aaron Glenn brought to the Jets, and you could feel it vibrating through that team all game long. So regardless of a win or a loss, because it was a tight game and it happens, right? There's a winner and a loser in football. It happens. I thought it was very impressive the way the Jets battled for their head coach, for their leader. And truthfully, I think Aaron Glenn will be a phenomenal head coach for many years to come in the NFL. He's gained my respect, 1,000,000%. You don't realize the hole left behind in Detroit from Aaron Glenn until he's gone. And now you're watching pretty much the same talent back there struggle a lot more than it did with Aaron Glenn. I mean, he had those boys, they were banged up. They were bruised, injured, and he was still putting together a salvageable defense. I admire that. Like, that is true talent. Like, that is true respect for me. So, as far as New York goes, I think they're in good hands. I think the Jets landed themselves a really good long-term head coach, which they haven't had in a while. I think the Jets got their guy. And if I'm a Jets fan, I could not be happier than I am right now. You know, maybe Fields isn't the franchise quarterback, but you got Aaron Glenn. And you're safe and secure with him moving forward. That is a wrap on Thursday Night Football recap with a few extra topics sprinkled in. Is JV. You're on the JV show. As always, if you're loving the content, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Do your thing as you always do. The support has been incredible. We've had a phenomenal NFL season so far to start. Week 1 was great. We are hopping right into week 2 now. I'm so pumped up to get some more content out for y'all. As always, I appreciate it, and I will catch you really soon back here on the pod. Yes, sir.